I wanted to make some different picks here, but I just went with objective logic here because it could go this. I feel like this is going to be completely blown up. I really believe in the whole Josh Pate. He says this every year. Don't criticize my picks if you didn't have the guts to make picks before the season started yourself. So I do have the top four teams as Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, and Clemson. Um, I think Clemson will just be in the top four because I don't see them losing more than a game. They might actually be undefeated. Um, I think so. I'll go 4-3. I think they've just got some great talent. They've got some good culture. I think they're ready to go. Um, Adam Randall, their running back. Randall, I really like him. Ohio State. Here's the deal. Julian Saiyan is the chosen one, Super Saiyan. So we'll see what he can do. I really like the fact that he's got Jeremiah Smith who can bail you out of anything. Just throw it up there and it's either pass interference or he's going to catch it. And their defense is going to be just way more athletic than most of the offenses they play. Penn State, I got them at number 2. Penn State, this is your chance. Don't screw it up. James Franklin needs to just have a mentality of let's just score, and then maybe we can, stop this whole conservative approach. I like Drew Aller, and then Texas. I think Arch Manning is going to end up being the real deal for them. I'm still a little bit worried about their defense, but we'll see. But that's my top four. So first round matchups, I got Boise State playing Alabama. I've got Bama moving on in that matchup. I think Bama is just way too deep. They're way too talented. Ty Simpson, I think he'll be good enough to get them back to that locomotive type of an offense. And I got Boise State being that 12th team out of the Mountain West. Your lovable Florida Gators making the playoff. Now, here's the thing. I probably should have flipped them and have us at number 8 and have Oregon at number 9. Because honestly, I think that's probably how they're going to end up if this ends up, you know, going the way that I think it's going to go. But either way, I think we're going to beat Oregon. Um, I think Oregon, I think the reason why I think they're good is because they, Dan Lanning, having that, Georgia defensive coordinator pedigree. But I still think that Florida is going to be able to beat them. We're just going to be able to go out there to Eugene and get a big time victory. Texas Tech, Notre Dame. I honestly think Texas Tech can win this game, but I'm just gonna go Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is probably just gonna end up in a situation where they're just too solid for Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech will need a little bit too many gimmicks, and Notre Dame will neutralize all that. And you just got to be bigger and faster than them to beat them. And I don't think Texas Tech is. Miami, Georgia. Okay, so I actually flipped a coin on this one because I honestly felt that Miami could upset Georgia, but it's at Georgia, so I'm going to go Georgia Bulldogs. All right, Bama, Clemson. Everyone realize,
By the way, Carson Beck
yeah.
going back to Athens would be unbelievable. That'd be what a game. Oh man.
And based on these rankings, I kind of feel like it's either going to be Miami versus Georgia or Florida versus Georgia because I feel like they could easily put us at number 10. But I think what the committee does, they're going to not be as objective in these rankings. They're going to pick the 12 teams. They're going to say, okay, these are the 12 teams. But then when it comes to the seeding, they're going to flop a couple teams around so that to avoid certain matchups. Some of them are inevitable, but like Miami, Georgia would be preferred to Florida, Georgia if it came to that. But Who knows? We'll see. Maybe we end up playing Florida, Georgia 3 times because maybe we have to play them in the SEC championship game. You never know. Um, all right, Bama, Clemson. I'm gonna go Bama to win that one. And when you get to the quarterfinals, you're in bowl games now, so you're neutral site. I got Bama moving on. Florida versus Texas. You can't be the 8-9 because when you're the 8-9, now you got to play the 1. Even though I think we're just as good. I think we beat Texas in the regular season, but for some reason, Texas wins it by a touchdown. I just, I have to put it out there. Notre Dame, Ohio State. I'm going to go Ohio State again, beating Notre Dame. They beat them in the national championship game last year. They're going to beat them again in the playoff game this year. They just got too many weapons. Georgia versus Penn State. I'm going Penn State in that one. I think Penn State finally gets the breakthrough that they're looking for. All right. So now that we get to the Final Four, I believe these are going to be rematches of the conference championship games that I have, that's the other thing. Do we really want to see rematches of the conference championship games in these playoffs? Which the 2018 playoff that the Big Ten wants to do, it would avoid this, where you get to the semifinals and you have to rematch people. I actually think maybe the 2018 would work if you eliminated one regular season game, you eliminated the conference championship games, and you just said there's 11 games and then the 2018 playoff. But anyway, it's super difficult for me to pick Texas to beat Bama again. But I don't know. I like Steve Sarkisian. I just think he's a better coach than DeBoer. So I'm gonna go Texas. Ohio State, Penn State. Until Penn State actually can get out there and start scoring on people, I got to go Ohio State. So I got Texas versus Ohio State in a rematch of the game that we're going to see next week. Texas winning it this time. So I'm going to go Texas Longhorns to win this one. Texas is doing what we wanted Billy Napier to do, basically, which is take a program that has so much potential, lots of talent, and just create almost like a mini professional team that is great on all parts of the ball, that recruits high-powered quarterbacks. Because if you think about it, that's why he's so good, because he's got good quarterbacks. People say they didn't like Quinn Ewers. Yeah, but he was still better than a hell of a lot of other teams they were playing. And then Archie Manning, let's see what he can do. He's been in the program now for 3 years. He's got to be good, and he's fast. He can run. So if he ends up giving you like the Joe Burrow type of performance, this is going to be a very difficult team. They're going to score a lot of points. That's pretty much why I have them, because I like the offense and I like the defensive line just coming after people, sacking everyone left and right. Texas national champs.
I like it. Yeah, no, I definitely like some of these picks. Yeah. If we can beat Oregon, man, in Eugene, oh my God, that would be unbelievable.
I'm going to that if we do.
Dude. I've told everyone. I'm like, I don't care how expensive the tickets are. If the Gators are in a playoff game, I'm gonna be there, bro. I don't care where it is. We can play in Alaska, dog. I'm there. So I love it. All right, let's go ahead and go to mine. EJ, you can pull mine up as well so you can follow through. If you have it. I know that there's a couple different people are gonna be pissed for sure. If we're gonna go through it, man. I'm gonna try to explain myself. So I'm gonna kind of do the same layout that EJ did. So let's go ahead and start with the top 4 teams that I have. Top 4 teams. I have the Bama winning the SEC championship. I have Clemson winning the ACC championship. I think they're gonna be number 3. I have Penn State 2, Ohio State 4. So I have Ohio State beating Penn State in the regular season. And then wait, don't I have I don't know. Either way, I have them like rematch like 3 times. I eventually have both of them still being in the top 4 at 2 and at 4. And so I think just now with the new layout, it's way better than having, just the auto bids in the top 4 and bringing like Boise State in, which would be the case, by the way, in this layout. But I do have Ohio State up there with Penn State still making the top 4. Now let's go ahead and dive into the first round. First round, I have Boise State at the number 12 spot, group of 5 team. I think they're really, really solid. I've already talked about them last week. I think even with losing Ashton Genty, they got some really good backs, bringing back most of their team. A lot of returning talent there. I think they're going to win that over UNLV, maybe. Texas A&M is my number 5 team. I love Texas A&M. I know EJ doesn't agree. I think Texas A&M is a team that has so much talent. I talked about them last week heavily, and we can obviously they keep advancing, as you guys can see, so we'll talk about them more later. But I really like the Texas A&M team and what they have going for them. Number 9, I have the Big 12 champs in Texas Tech. I have them playing Georgia. I do like this Georgia team. You could also throw them at number 7 like what EJ did. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think Georgia's a team that I really like, but I'm worried about their offensive line. They lost a lot of their offensive line, didn't bring in any guys from the portal. Now, obviously, they've been recruiting very well. And so you got to be like, okay, a lot of these guys coming in from the program, from under these starters that did leave, they should be able to take that next step considering there was such high-rated recruits. But still, it's just a little bit scary for me, especially with Gunnar Stockton back there, a guy that I don't think I'm not big on him. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he can definitely get stuff done if he has great weapons around him and a good O-line. But if the O-line is kind of average, with this schedule that Georgia has, it's going to be really interesting, especially if he starts to lose his confidence throughout the season. And if they can't run the ball, which they couldn't last year, which we'll get into in a bit. But yeah, really curious to see Georgia, where they're going to land, but I have them at number 8. I have Georgia Tech versus Oregon. Georgia Tech traveling to Eugene. You guys know I like Georgia Tech. I think mainly because of the schedule, very easy schedule. But I have them playing Oregon. Oregon's just such a talented football team. So talented, dude. They lost a lot of guys, brought in a lot of guys from the portal, but also have been recruiting at such a high level since Dan Lanning's been there that you just got to trust that these guys are going to be good. Then we have LSU and Notre Dame. LSU, I kind of put LSU. You can flip LSU in Texas for me, by the way. But I really like. I saw, Brian Kelly going back to South Bend would be such a cool story. It would be absolutely insane. Total chaos. And I love that storyline. But you could throw Texas at number 10, and I wouldn't mind that. If you did throw Texas at 10, I actually have Texas probably moving on to play Penn State. But I have LSU there, so I think they're going to lose to Notre Dame. So let's go ahead and go to the quarterfinals for the playoffs. We'll actually start with that Notre Dame and Penn State game. Notre Dame, they took way too long to pick CJ Carr as their quarterback. Way too long that it's kind of uncomfortable for me. And we'll get to that because we're obviously picking that game a little later on, that Notre Dame and Miami game. But that kind of scares me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I really like CJ Carr. Big, obviously highly touted recruit. Looked good, by the way, at times last year for Notre Dame. Can push the ball down the field fairly easily, especially compared to what Riley Leonard was doing. I feel very confident that this guy can be a really, really good passer. But I don't like how the fall camp's been going on, so we'll see. I do have them beating LSU because of that home field advantage, but they go to play Penn State. Penn State's just too dominant. I mean, I've already talked so much about them. Everything EJ said, I just second. I mean, if they're going to win it anytime in the next 10, 15 years under James Franklin, it's going to be this year. So, yeah, just such a talented football team from top to bottom. Next, we go to Oregon and Clemson. Oregon, like you said, these are neutral sites, but I do have Clemson getting the win. I really like this Clemson team. Super, super talented. It's weird that for the power rating, they're all the way down at like number 14 or 15. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they're power rated so low when they have literally the most returning talent in the country, production-wise and starter-wise, I think, in the Power 4. And also, too, a lot of the coordinators have now had a few years to really, get Klubnik where he needs to be, to get this defense where, I mean, the defense has always been really good, but this defense I think is going to take a step forward as well with TJ Parker especially, and some other guys returning on that defense in key positions. One of the best corners in the country as well. I think they're going to get a win over Oregon and go to the playoff semifinals to play Penn State. Georgia and Bama, classic, dude. Such a rivalry game. Always an absolute fun, just such a fun game, dude. But because of that Georgia offensive line, I'm not totally sure about. And because of Gunnar Stockton having to face this Bama defense, I really like this Bama team, as you guys can see. I think they're super, super talented. I think they're going to beat Georgia. It's going to be a really good game. It always is. But I do have Alabama getting the win over Georgia to go to the next to the semifinals in the playoff. I then have Texas A&M versus Ohio State. I have Texas A&M beating Ohio State because you have Julian saying, against that defense, man, against a Mike Elko defense. I don't know. I mean, obviously, listen, I know you have the best offensive player in the country, of course, at receiver, and Jeremiah Smith. I understand that. But Julian Sain's a young guy. He's going to have to go through these these rough parts of the season, and it's not going to start out easy playing that Texas defense right away. And I think that he's a guy that you really have to be careful with this season to help his confidence and, not let him go down a spiral and try to force balls and get into a bad state of mind. I think that's going to happen in this Texas A&M game, and I think Texas A&M is going to get the win over Ohio State to move on to the semifinals. Semifinal game, we got Texas A&M and Bama, a rematch of the SEC championship, kind of similar to you, EJ. And I have Texas A&M falling short to Bama. I like this Texas A&M team a lot, but Alabama's just so dirty. The most talented team in the country from top to bottom, in my opinion. I really like Kalen DeBoer a lot. I think he's a phenomenal head coach, and I think he's been in this position. You know what I mean? More than Mike Elko and Texas A&M. And I think because of the lack of experience in these big games and in the college football playoff, I think Alabama's going to go and sneak a win over Texas A&M. I think it's going to be a really fun game, a hard-fought game. Playing 3 games in a row, though, for Texas A&M is going to kind of get to them, I think. And I think Bama's going to get the win to go on to the national championship. Bottom of the semifinal, we have Clemson versus Penn State. I have Penn State getting the win. I like this Clemson team a lot, but Penn State's dirty. Penn State, once again, James Franklin, this is his year to win it. I think they're gonna get the win. I think it's gonna be a really fun game, by the way. I think this might be game of the year, maybe game of the playoff as well. I think Clemson wants it really, really bad, but Penn State just wants it even more. I think they're going to get the win over Clemson, just with these weapons they have at receiver now, with that run game, of course, with 2 of the best running backs in the country in the same running back room, which is unbelievable. I think they're going to go ahead and get a win there to move on to face Alabama. So Penn State, Alabama, in the national championship. When's the last time we've seen Penn State versus Bama? I couldn't tell you. The last time they played was 2011 when Alabama went to State College and won 27-11. But it's been that long. I don't remember that game at all. That's such a weird one.
Yeah, did they ever make a return trip to Tuscaloosa?
It might have been a series. It was a series. Penn State in 2010 went to Tuscaloosa and lost 24-3 in 2010.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, so they had a little home series in 2010,
okay.
and
I do not remember that at all.
Yeah, super interesting. But I don't remember that at all either. It's such a weird thing. I guess because Penn State wasn't really great during that period. I don't know. But yeah, Penn State versus Bama, first time since 2011 apparently. Listen, I like this Penn State team, but I think Bama's just gonna be too much for them, dude. Once again, Alabama's been in this position before. Penn State has never been in the college football playoff championship. So I just don't think they're going to be used to it. I think they're going to want it, but Bama's going to this once again has a chance to be the game of the year just because both teams I think want it so bad. Kalen DeBoer trying to live up to what Nick Saban did, and then in having one of the most talented teams in the country, and then of course you have James Franklin kind of back against the wall here. They need to win this championship. This needs to be the year. I just think they fall short. I really do. Drew Aller, I think it's going to fall on his shoulders. I'm not the big Drew Aller fan. I'm not the biggest Drew Aller fan in the world. I think he's more of a game manager than he is a really big national championship type of quarterback. And I think that's going to get to him. I think we're going to see a little bit of old Drew Aller in this game down in Miami and Hard Rock Stadium. And I think that Bama's going to come out on top to win the 2026 national championship. Yeah, baby. Yes, sir. So like I said, you could flip LSU Texas. For sure. I wouldn't be mad with that. There's a couple other guys that I think could definitely slip in here for the playoff, but those are going to be my picks for the college football playoff, man. These are 2 really good brackets that are probably not going to be realistic at all. It's probably not going to be near, close to what it's going to be at the end of the season, because of how wild this year is going to be. But I think that's why I threw in some interesting teams, because just to try to, I don't know, just be like, hey, if it does happen, I could be hey, I predicted it, So we'll see what happens. But I do really like this Texas A&M team. I do think they're going to make a little run there.
No Texas in your top 12.
Yeah, like
so you have.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you could flip LSU in Texas. I wouldn't be mad with that. But here's my issue with Texas. I told you this, EJ. I think they have 2 automatic losses, in my opinion, to Ohio State and to Texas A&M in this bracket, right? And then you have a 3rd loss. I think they could definitely drop a game to Florida. I think there's a couple other games that they could drop as well. Do they play Georgia?
I think they do.
I think they do. They could drop the Georgia game. I could see them going 9-3. I could truly see that. And the more I look at, the more I'm probably thinking, and maybe you do flip LSU and Texas. They sneak in. Then Texas beats Notre Dame to play Penn State, and they lose to Penn State in the quarterfinal. I could see that. I just don't like this Texas O-line. That's what I'm not a big fan of. And if Arch Manning does not have an O-line, you're when you put this schedule that they play, it's gonna be a long year, I think, for Arch Manning back there. I know he's mobile. I understand that, but I'm not the biggest fan of that.
Dang.
So okay. I think they're going to be a very good team. I understand that. And also, too, the offensive line could have a lot of issues early on, but they have 3 easy games in a row that they could get it fixed before they play Florida. And so there is that as well, of when, you know what I mean, they have time to fix this O-line after that Ohio State loss, I think. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, LSU, you could flip that with Texas because they could be a 3-loss team that sneaks in. To that number 10 seed.
Dang. Okay, so that's the first thing that I noticed. No Texas. Mm-hmm. The second thing, you're high on Texas A&M. I like that. Other people need to know Logan made these picks before Josh Pate. So for all you just copied Alabama. No, he picked Alabama before we even knew what Pate was picking.
Yep.
I think we have pretty much the same teams, other than no Gators.
We're about to get into all that.
So okay. We've memorialized our playoff bracket. Okay, everybody. So let's see who can get the most of these playoff teams in there.
Mine's gonna be so wrong.
And let's see who wins it.
Yes, sir.